I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but Apple just held this big event where they announced this new thing called the iPhone 12 as well as a HomePod mini. So let's take a minute and do my usual Wednesday news radar on a Tuesday because I don't want to wait another day to go over kind of a roundup, a general overview, if you will, of this event. So the first thing that they unveiled is the new HomePod mini, which is clearly here to rival the Google Nest Home Mini, the Nest Home Mini, the Google Home, who knows what this thing's called anymore. But anyways, this is a small speaker from Apple. It's going to have Siri integration. You've got a light up top that's touch sensitive to play, pause, volume. It's got this nice fabric material, which I'm kind of happy with. I think, Google started doing this a while back too, and it looks nice. I think it's a good looking speaker. I think here Apple does a better job than maybe Google did in kind of telling you why this thing's going to sound great. I mean, you can't just play it for us. We're at home. We may be listening on a phone speaker, so you can't really tell. So they give you this deep dive of the internals, and they kind of show you, this is what's going on inside this thing. This is how we've designed it to give you a good bass response without distortion. This is why it's going to be loud. This is why it's going to sound good. They talk about a chip inside this thing that's going to be processing the audio to try and make it sound better, something like 180 times a second or something crazy like that. Of course, it's going to have the ability to hear different people's voices to know who's who. So if one person says, hey, play this playlist, they're going to know who it is and whose playlist to play. Something they also talked about is how they can sync up. So you can have multiples of these things around your house, and they could not only sync up and play simultaneously, but if there's two like this, they could actually sync up and be a stereo pair, and apparently some easy mechanism to accomplish that. I'm actually really intrigued by that. I use my Google Nest Home Mini speakers throughout the house, and I will often cast music to all of them at once so I can walk around the house as I'm cleaning or what have you, and I can hear my music or my podcast or my video wherever it is in the house that I'm at. But I would love the idea of having two of them on either side of my TV or something, and being able to cast music to the two of them in a stereo pair. I think that's pretty cool. Something else that they're showing off here, which I think is really interesting, apparently this new speaker will know when your iPhone has gotten near enough to it, and you can cast it that way. So as the phone approaches it, it'll actually give you a haptic feedback, a vibration that says, hey, do you want to play this audio on this speaker that you're holding this phone up to? I think that's really smart. Google has their cast button, but in my experience, it's often finicky. I can't tell you how often I go to cast and my whole home group doesn't appear, or things just kind of glitch out way too easily with that menu. I think this is a really interesting solution to this problem. Of course, it's going to be compatible with all of your main audio, your music sources. I don't see Spotify on there. I don't see YouTube Music on there, whatever. But the ones Apple people are using, it's going to work just fine on there. And of course, it's going to have the ability to answer all sorts of stupid questions like who invented cotton candy. If you can't, be bothered to type that into your phone, you can say it out loud. This is a smart speaker. It's going to do smart speaker things. I think probably one of the most interesting things that they're showing off, though, is integration with their car software. So if you asked it what time a store opened, it will then show you in your vehicle, if it has Apple's car software, the map navigation to where you asked about in your home on your speaker. I love integration like that. Of course, it's going to be compatible with, controlling your thermostat, your locks, and so forth, things that are part of Apple's home kit. They also talk about what they're calling intercom, which they said that they invented, which is hilarious to me because intercoms have been around for many decades. But what they're doing is actually really interesting here. So you can actually say to one speaker, hey, tell the whole house my message. It's going to play across all the speakers. They can then say, hey, Siri, reply, and say what they want to say. That's pretty cool. But where things get extra cool, where they take it that extra mile, is that it's actually going to be compatible with your phone, your car. You could be driving and ask your car's audio system to intercom. It's going to then play it in your house. In this instance, he says, hey, who wants pizza? And then everybody in the house gets to hear it. Your phone's going to get a notification. You're going to see it on your watch. It's going to play it in your AirPods. So that intercom is being taken an additional step, which I think is actually really pretty neat. And of course, this HomePod mini is going to be $99. Now, That's a little bit pricey. This thing's got to sound pretty damn good. It looked like it was very small. You know, like I said, home mini size. 99 bucks is a little steep, but maybe it sounds really good. Maybe it's worth it. It looks intriguing to me. So next up, we get the iPhone's first big announcement, and that is 5G. The rumors are true. These iPhones will be running 5G, which should shock no one, but it appears they're getting 5G in place of the higher refresh rate screens, which we are not getting. 120 hertz was a rumor. Apparently, they said too much battery drain. We're going with 5G instead. 5G is easier to market than 120 hertz because you can't really show someone in a video like this, hey, look how smooth this looks, because it's going to play back at 60 FPS, best case scenario anyways, so it's not really going to be something they can really show you. Whereas 5G is like, hey, it's going to be fast. My problem here is this idea that 5G just got real is just not true. They're going to be running on ultra wideband millimeter wave, and they talk about how incredibly fast that is. And I mean, look, it is super fast. 4 gigabytes per second down and 200 megabits up is incredibly fast, but guess what? It's not going to be usable for 99% of people 99% of the time. I'll say it again. Millimeter wave, ultra wideband, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. This is the kind of 5G that you need to literally be looking at the tower, and if you turn your back to it, you're going to lose your signal. It's bad. What you should be caring about is more nationwide 5G, the sorts of things that T-Mobile is rolling out and Verizon is rolling out as well. But here's the thing about that. It's not that much faster than the 4G that's already here. I don't know what they think people are doing out in the world where they need 4 gigabytes down. Why we think that's relevant. How recently have you been out in the world, not out in the middle of nowhere, and you've said to yourself, man, my LTE is just too slow. It just isn't getting the job done for me. Personally, that virtually never happens. I get why they went with this, but to me, I would have much rather had 120 hertz than 5G. From there, we get our first real look at the iPhone 12. This is the standard model, and it looks quite good. They're saying it's a new design. It's thinner. It's lighter. They can tell me it's a new design, but it looks like the iPhones look for the last few years now. But if you're saying, Tim, if you're saying it's a new design, I'm with you. Looks good. I like the colors. I like the navy blue there in particular. It's thinner. It's lighter. It's got the A14 Bionic. It's faster. They're saying it's 50% faster than any other smartphone chip. I don't know in what tasks, in what way. They don't really talk about any of that. I don't really know what to say. It's an iPhone. It looks like an iPhone. It's 6.1 inches. You're talking about a much brighter screen for HDR. I think she said 1200 nits, which is actually really bright. So, I mean, it's going to be good. It's an iPhone. The screen's going to look good. The cameras are going to be good. Battery life's going to be good. They're also claiming it's going to be the most durable iPhone ever. This was actually really interesting to me. So they've partnered with Corning to create something that they're calling ceramic shield. So basically they're actually allowing crystals to form inside the glass while simultaneously still being clear and not obstructing your view of that screen underneath, and they're claiming that it is many times more durable than even Gorilla Glass 6. They didn't specifically say Gorilla Glass 6 as far as I can recall, but they're saying it's much more durable than any other glass on the market. Good news. A lot of people walking around with busted up looking iPhones. 4 times better drop performance. So there's a portion here where they talk about something called smart data mode, where basically they're like, hey, if we detect that you're not really needing 5G speeds, we'll throttle you down to LTE, which is hilarious because you know what that tells anyone paying attention? It's that 5G doesn't really matter. If it was an end-all, be-all feature, it would never turn off. But the reality is that it's barely ever going to work, and when it does work, you're not going to need that kind of speed. So it's going to drop down to LTE anyways. So at this point, they spend a good amount of time talking about that A14 Bionic chip. It's really fast. It's really powerful. The GPU is powerful. The CPU is powerful. We get it. It's a powerful processor. The Bionic chips are always powerful processors. Be really interesting to see what happens when the 875 Snapdragon comes out, the new Exynos chips, so forth and so on. At the end of the day, yes, it is probably going to be the most powerful chip on the market. And at the end of the day, if you held the Samsung Galaxy S21 next to this thing and you opened up the same apps at the same time, guess what? There's going to be an almost indistinguishable difference in speed. Samsung's going to win some. Apple's going to win some. The games are going to look similar. I've said it a million times. I'll say it again. the hardware is outstripping the software by a mile. These things are way more powerful than they need to be. Now, that's not a negative. Go big or go home. I'm just saying, don't put a ton of stock in this. So then they start talking about games, and apparently a version of League of Legends is coming to the iPhone, and somehow that is integrated with 5G. I don't know why you would need 5 gigabytes down to play League of Legends on your phone. Seems like a little bit of a weird flex, but cool, I guess. People love League of Legends, so it's going to be on your phone. Not sure if it's going to play with the PC version or if this is its own standalone version. I don't know anything about League of Legends. That sure does look like a mobile game. So you're going to get a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, 120 degree field of view. You're going to get your standard wide angle, another 12 megapixel. They're not going with these crazy 108 megapixel cameras because there's no real need to. They're taking phenomenal pictures with just AI and a good 12 megapixel camera. Still no telephoto on the standard iPhone. They're continuing to tout their computational photography angle, low light, better HDR. That's a very Google Pixel approach that they've been taking as of late. Good for them. It seems to be working pretty well. They have something called night mode time-lapse here, which is actually really cool. They're saying this was all filmed and edited on an iPhone, and it looks really good. I mean, video has always been a really strong point for the iPhone, and it continues to be a strong point for the iPhone 12, shocking absolutely no one. Here's something I thought was really interesting. So people, a decade on are still stealing things from the Palm Pre, and we're continuing to do that here. So they're showing a bunch of accessories magnetically snapping onto the back of the iPhone 12, like a charger or a wallet, and you're saying to yourself, well, how's a wallet being magnetically attached to the back of this iPhone, ripping off the Palm Pre? Well, what they're doing here is they've taken wireless charging, and now they're integrating a magnet with that magnetic charger so that you're not sitting there sticking this charger to the back of it, trying to find the coil. Am I charging? Am I not charging? You get it close, and it's going to snap into place. You can also snap on that wallet, whatever, it's magnetic. The cases are going to be magnetic onto it as well. Well, the Palm Pre had the touchstone magnetic charger before. If you got it anywhere near, it would just lock into place on the little charger, and it was great. It was awesome. It was a great idea, and it's weird that it's taken this long for someone to copy that really good idea. But here we are. MagSafe is back, and in this case, it's doing a whole lot more than it used to do. It's a good idea. I think it's an interesting problem to solve, and I think that it was a good idea. It remains a good idea. You get a look here at some of those accessories, like that little wallet thing, just pops on, pops off. I don't know what that pouch is. That's kind of weird. You're going to shove your phone up in a pouch. Here's a charger that I believe they said that they are making that will charge both at once, and it folds up. And they show off some things that Belkin is making, some third-party gear for your MagSafe. Then here's where we get the news that in fact the charger and the earbuds are no longer going to be in the box with the iPhone. It's going to let them have a slimmer box. It's going to be less e-waste. I mean, that's good, I guess. Like, it still kind of hits me weird, though, that they're removing things we've always gotten in the box from the box. But that being said, I've got a bunch of cell phone boxes with old earbuds and charging bricks still in them. So maybe we're not really using them that much, but still does kind of hit you weird. Don't know why she's on a roof. That seems a little bit odd, too, but I will applaud them for trying to move towards using recycled sorts of things, zero emissions sort of pushes. It's a good thing. So, I guess we'll take the charitable stance here and say, good job, Apple. So here's a look at your new super slim box with no charger and no earbuds in there. Here we get the super secret unveiling of a box and a smaller box and another box inside the box. Nope, it's just a small iPhone. This is the iPhone 12 mini, which is something I'm actually kind of jazzed about. I like small phones. My wife just returned the LG V60 because it was too big for her tiny baby hands, and now here's another company saying here's the same phone but smaller. She just got the Pixel 5 pre-ordered when that was available. It's a smaller phone. It's probably a very similar size, 5.4 inches. It'll be a little bit bigger than that mini, but not kind of in between the two, I guess would be the best way to look at it. But I like small phones out there. Not everybody needs the biggest phone in the world, so you're going to get the same exact phone, just smaller. Then, of course, we get the price points here. iPhone 12 mini is $699. The iPhone 12 is $799. I think that's a phenomenal price point. That really goes for the jugular in terms of some of these Android flagships that are pushing $1,000. And, I mean, you're not really going to see a huge downgrade. This is targeting the same market as, your Galaxy FE and phones of that price point. I think you're going to get a really great phone for that price point. And to only be $15 a month and $12 a month for these two things on contract is a pretty tremendous deal. So now we're looking at the iPhone 12 Pro and the Pro Max. So basically what you're going to get here is you're going to get that telephoto lens on the back. You're going to get a bigger screen and a bigger battery. And since we no longer have Steve Wozniak, now we have Greg Josowak, no Woz, so we got Jaws. 4 different colors. They all look very premium, very metallic. This appears to be the iPhone 12 Pro Escobar edition, much sought after. So you're getting a 6.1 inch display in the iPhone 12 Pro, and then a 6.7 inch screen on the iPhone 12 Pro Max, which is quite massive. That is a big phone. Really impressive specs, very similar to what you're seeing on the other iPhone 12s as well. 1200 nits peak brightness is very good. 458 ppi is very good. It's going to be it's an iPhone screen. It's going to look great. So in addition to the cameras you already mentioned, the 12 megapixel ultra wide, the 12 megapixel wide, you then do get the addition of the telephoto lens here, which is a 12 megapixel telephoto. Now they did say it's a 4x optical zoom range. That does not mean that is a 4x optical zoom. What they're saying is, but going from the ultra wide to the telephoto gives you a 4x optical zoom range. So not a true 4x. I believe it's a 2.5 magnification. So now they start talking about something they're calling Apple Pro RAW, which is something that if you're a big photographer, you shoot in RAW so you can do more editing. Well, Apple's going to have their own sort of version of RAW. People are going to be very excited about the editing possibilities here. I still don't think, if you're having a wedding and someone shows up with the iPhone 12 Pro Max and they're your wedding photographer, you're going to be super happy. But they could probably get some pretty good pictures out of the thing. Showing here the ability of color grading and so forth to be able to really change the look of the picture, and even changing the color of her jacket, which, we're getting into some weird territory here where pictures are no longer bearing any resemblance to the world around us. But I mean, it's cool, I guess. Now we're actually going to get HDR video recording on the iPhone 12, which is really impressive, and also 10-bit HDR for these people that are true camera people. This is pretty damn impressive. The lead iPhone has on videography is just getting wider. They're absolutely dominant in terms of filming video, and that's not changing anytime soon with 10-bit HDR, Dolby Vision HDR on board as well. Really, really impressive. So they show this really cool little video here of like, oh, you can be a professional, videographer with your iPhone 12, mount it underneath your Jeep, put it on a drone, film some horses, I mean, whatever you want to do with your iPhone, get out there with some horses and see what you can find. So what's the price? iPhone 12 Pro, $999 is your starting price for the 128 gig model. The 12 Pro Max 128 gig model, you're going to be starting off at $1099. So nothing that's going to, truly blow your mind in terms of prices. I think it's about where everybody expected it to be. So iPhone 12 and iPhone 12 Pro will be available for pre-order October 16th. And then it'll be actually available October the 23rd. Now, the Pro Max and the Mini, for whatever reason, are going to be available for pre-order on the 6th of November, and then they'll be available November 13th. Kind of weird how they're staggering it, but that's where we're at. There is your full price range going forward from iPhone SE all the way up to iPhone 12 Pro. Max is left off there for some reason. Sorry, Max. Get the hell off the screen, pal. So yeah, there you go. Pretty long video, but hey, this event was over an hour long. So, what are you going to do? I'm going to try and trim it down as best I can to get it to you guys in a more condensed version. I'd love to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Stay tuned for more coverage as these things hit the market. Let me know if you plan on buying one of them. So until the next video, stay nerdy, my friends. If you enjoy my content, please consider becoming a Scary If Literal member. You'll get access to a whole bunch of emoticons to use with live streams and a shout out on an upcoming video. Thanks as always for your continued support.